All right. So I just want to start off by saying anybody that's new to the Zooms or anything like that, welcome, and thank you guys for taking some time out and being able to watch these Zooms. I definitely enjoy doing them and helping out as much as I can. I love sharing about these products. I mean, they're completely amazing. They've changed my life personally. They've changed family members' life, my cat's life. But just so you guys do know, my name is not Lindy. I'm Victoria, but Lindy and me usually do the Zooms together, but she's currently out in Arizona right now, visiting out there. So she's been out there for a while. So I'm just using all of her back office and everything when it comes to the Zooms. So I just kind of want to start off by going over about what the endocannabinoid system and just get a little bit of a refresher on how important the endocannabinoid system is and what it does. So number one, the endocannabinoid system practically runs your entire body. You have two main receptors in your body, your CB1 receptors, which are controlling your brain and your central nervous system. And if you think a little bit about that, it controls a lot of different things as anxiety, stress, insomnia, depression, inflammation, pain. That's an extremely important receptor. Your CB2 receptors also control your immune system, your gastrointestinal tract, your peripheral nervous system. So that has a lot of things that it's controlling as well, like blood pressure, your skin health, your pancreas, bones, etc. It just goes on and on about what those two receptors control. And how it works is it's ran off of something called endocannabinoids, which is something that our bodies are already naturally producing. So the endocannabinoid system is ran off of something called homeostasis, which is your body's balance. So if it makes sense, you think of it as a teeter-totter. So whenever you have an issue, something, say there's a physical accident you're in, a psychological trauma, your body can fall out of balance. So say you have a bad anxiety issue, and then you notice, you're not sleeping as often anymore, you're having weight issues, you're having mood issues, and then you feel like you just get stuck on this downhill spiral, and then out of nowhere you have these pain issues. So when our body's not being able to produce as many endocannabinoids anymore and correct our body, you need something that replenishes that. So that's pretty much how I think of CBD. It's replenishing your body of something that it's lacking, and it's helping you get to that homeostasis. So I kind of want to just go into a little bit about what FSE is. What is full spectrum extract? Why are these products important? So number one, full spectrum extract is an extremely crucial thing that I think almost everybody should have. FSE is everything that's out of the hemp plant. So that's terpenes, flavonoids, fatty acids, cannabinoids, THC. And when you put all that stuff together, what it does is it maximizes your benefits, and it creates something within your body called homeostasis, which that's that balance that we were talking about. A lot of our bodies aren't being able to produce endocannabinoids, and that has a lot of it, processed foods, everyday life. A lot of it has to do with age. Your body's not being able to create that homeostasis anymore. So what's awesome about this true full spectrum extract, it puts your body into that homeostasis. And then it also gives you something called the entourage effect. An entourage effect is when everything works together. So it's an extremely important, crucial part is when you are getting a true full spectrum. So you do know that you're getting that homeostasis. It's not just going in your body and fixing your symptoms. It can help with the issues that you're having and try to get everything back in line. So one big question that a lot of people ask me is like, well, I see there's full spectrums. What's so different about this brand? We're going to get into a little bit of what the different types of CBD are a little later in the Zoom. What makes it different? Why should I be taking a full spectrum? But start from the beginning. There aren't a lot of true full spectrums that are on the market, but we are going to get into that. So let's just talk about why this brand is superior. Why do we all believe in it so much? Why does it work so well for us? Number one, that the way that these products are made, everything from the seed to the bottle to you is controlled under one place, which is absolutely amazing. It's something that you don't see very frequently. So number one, the way it's grown. That is one of the biggest important parts, is the hemp that you're getting the extract from. Is it good quality? Where is it being grown? one of the biggest things is with this company, they have farmers that are on extremely strict contracts, how to grow the hemp, how they want it to be grown. And then while it's being grown, it's being tested and it's being managed the whole time, which is extremely important. And why that is, the hemp plant itself is something called an accumulator plant. And what that means is it soaks anything that's up out of the ground into the actual plant. So it's actually been known, hemp's been used for years and years for a lot of different things, but one thing that was really big that they used it for was fields that have radiation. What they did is they planted a bunch of hemp, and what that did is it soaked everything up, and then they just disposed of the hemp. So you don't want anything that's in the ground that you don't want these plants being able to soak up and then consume. So one of the biggest things is they go through a lot of testing on what's in the soil. I've seen the paper myself, and it's about that big. A lot of people just test for metals and different stuff like that. This company goes beyond the expectations, they are superior when it comes to that. So not only is it being tested, but it's being managed to make sure that everything's the best quality that, everyone deserves. Number 2 is the extraction process. The extraction process we use is proprietary patented extraction. So everything was built directly around how to extract everything out of the plant. So you're not leaving anything behind. You're not leaving certain cannabinoids. You're not leaving certain terpenes, which could be crucial to each bottle. So that is a huge part on the way it's extracted. But it even goes even further than that. It's broken down into something called nano and cryosonic technology, meaning that your body is able to actually absorb 100% of CBD versus 30 to 50%, which is what a lot of the CBD is that's on the market. This is actually being able to allow your body to absorb all the CBD, so you're not just taking a bunch of it and your body's just filtering it out. It's giving you that extra chance to, number 1, you notice it a lot faster with nanotechnology, but also your body can get what it needs, what you're actually taking. You're not wasting anything. But like I said, just the way that everything is extracted, how it gets to you, it's all controlled under one eye, from the seed to the bottle to you. It's incredible. So I just wanted to go over, I get a lot of questions about what's the difference of types of CBD and how to tell the difference. One of the biggest things is I have people that message me and send me pictures and say, well, I've been taking this CBD. The easiest way to deal with something like that is look at the bottle, read what it says, and even if you want to, you can actually look them up. That's what I always suggest. I look at what kind of product it is, research it, see if they actually, there's been certain companies that don't even actually have websites. But whenever you get on there, there's a lot of different steps that you can go about. You can go look at the COAs, the extraction, the type of CBD that it claims to be, and actually make sure that it's being held, that if it says it's a certain extraction, that it's not considering that it's, full spectrum when really, they're not using the actual extraction process correctly. So I'm just going to go through and kind of explain and make it to where you guys are going to be able to say, oh, that's not a broad spectrum, that's an isolate kind of thing. So I just want to go about that, and I'm going to share my screen with you guys just so you guys will be able to see. So this is what an isolate is. So an isolate CBD oil, one of the easiest ways to determine what that is number 1, its color. We'll go through the carrier oils, the way that it's extracted. But an isolate CBD oil is only actually one cannabinoid out of the entire plant. So it's extremely isolated, if that makes any sense. That's why it turns out to be looking like this white powder. And then a lot of people, what they do is they put it into the carrier oil, and that's what makes it that extremely clear color. So the number 1 thing you're looking for when you see isolate is that it's going to be a clear color. Number 2, the carrier oils and isolate CBD oil, they will be either propylene glycol or vegetable glycerin. Those are the 2 main components that are always the carrier oils when it comes to isolate. And then also, like I said, if you want to do that extra step and you want to look it up online, the extraction process for an isolate CBD oil is using a CO2 extraction processing. or they use a cold press processing, which is what actually gets it to this powder form. One of the biggest things with the CBD isolate, like I said, I don't ever want to knock another brand because that doesn't mean it's a bad product. It's just meaning that you're not getting the potential of the full plant. So with an isolate CBD oil, you actually cannot get to homeostasis. It will not help your body. It can't actually put your body into that homeostasis. Your absorption rate is going to be a lot lower than with our true full spectrum. It's going to be around either 30% to about 50% is going to be what you're actually going to be able to absorb. And then also with an isolate CBD oil, when you're taking it, at some point you're going to end up plateauing. So you'll be taking it and it's working, and then to a certain point you're just going to say, it's not working for me anymore, and I'm trying to take more and I'm not noticing anything. So whenever it's put into the oil form, this is what it looks like. It's clear, and like I said, the easiest ways to go about that is, look at the color, read the carrier oils, and look at how it's extracted. So then we get into a broad spectrum CBD oil. So a broad spectrum or distillate, it's a combination of cannabinoids. It's not all the cannabinoids that are out of the plant, but it has a couple different types. So it's aiming for both receptors in your body, sometimes only certain receptors, just depending on what cannabinoids they're pulling out of that. Sometimes broad spectrums have 0 THC. That is one of the biggest standouts when somebody is claiming they're full spectrum and they say, well, it has 0 THC. Well, then you're not a full spectrum. That's not everything that's out of the plant. Sometimes broad spectrums can have THC. It's just not having all those terpenes, not having all the flavonoids, maybe just the cannabinoids. But so it usually looks like a yellow, almost like honey color when it's distillate. And then whenever they add the carrier oils to it, it ends up turning like a yellowish color. Sometimes it can be a little bit darker, but most of the times the one that I see, it's that yellow color, almost whitish yellow color. One of the things about broad spectrums, rule number 1 when you're looking for a broad spectrum, what the color of it is. Number 2, the carrier oils are usually coconut oil. That's one of the most popular, carrier oils that are on the market right now. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. I've seen vegetable oil, couple different weird ones, but also the extraction process of these. If you're ever looking online, want to look it up, to get a distillate, it's using a CO2 extraction process as well. And actually, a CO2 extraction process can't actually break down and get everything out of the plant. It's leaving certain cannabinoids behind. It can't actually extract terpenes. So what some brands do is they just add it in there. That's kind of defeating the whole purpose of being a full spectrum if you're going to claim that. So this is what a lot of people on the market today are calling a full spectrum, and really it's that broad spectrum. Then to get down to a true full spectrum, what a true full spectrum looks like, it should almost look like a black tar. And we all know what our products look like. If you've ever seen the capsules, it kind of looks like this color. And that's extremely normal. This is before the process of making it into an oil or making it into a cream. So if I can show you, shake my bottle. This is what a true full spectrum color looks like. It is a darkish green color. With reaction, that's what we're getting all the benefits. We're not leaving anything behind, which is extremely important. Like I said, number 1, you're not getting to that homeostasis, but you're getting multiple benefits when you're getting everything. Terpenes, for example, that's just what gives the plant its color and its smell, but has so many more benefits behind that. It's an anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antifungal, anti-cancer, and the list goes on and on. Each one of those, when you put them all together, it maximizes your benefits. So I just wanted to give you guys, a really easy, quick way, just so if somebody texts you and says, what is this? I've been taking this product and it doesn't seem to work for me. You're going to be able to look at it and say, oh, this is an isolate. Oh, this isn't a true full spectrum. And why that is, I looked it up and they say they use a CO2 extraction process. And that means they actually aren't a true full spectrum because they can't extract everything. those are just some really easy ways to tell the difference. So let me see in here. So one of the big difference, so there's a lot of different ways to extract CBD. A lot of people are getting creative. So CO2, it's extremely difficult to explain, but pretty much what they do, it's not like just squeezing everything out of the plant. With our stuff, we actually use an ethanol extraction process, and we are one of the only companies that are actually able to extract the ethanol after being extracted. Everything is extracted from the plant. So CO2, a lot of people consider it like a cold press. Is what they do is they just break it down, and by doing that, it's leaving a lot of the cannabinoids and certain stuff behind, where you're only being able to break it down to a distillate. Whenever it's being tested, a lot of the times it can't even actually extract the THC. I can extract little amounts of it, but not usually everything that's out of the plant. But we'll open this up to questions. If anybody has any questions, you can either put it in the chat bar or just unmute yourself. But to go a little bit more further into how our machinery is a lot different for extraction, I kind of already went over it a little bit, but like I said, everything is actually designed to extract everything. It is patented. So of course we can't actually see that technology. It only shows us a snippet of everything. But being able, just looking at the products, you can tell that it's a full spectrum. But our extraction process, like I said, it's built around just being able to extract everything, which a lot of other companies, they're okay with it only breaking down into a distillate, and then they'll just add some terpenes in it, or add THC to it, which defeats the purpose of being a true full spectrum.
Victoria, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you order just the sample capsules, which is 7 of them,
Mm-hmm.
are they the same milligram as the 30 capsule?
Yes.
Well, then why on the bottom of the bottle does it say like 230, 2 something? What does that mean?
On the very bottom of the bottle?
Yeah.
Usually, like all of these, it's actually batch numbers. So I'm guessing whatever is on the bottom of your bottle is
No. It's on the front of the bottle.
Oh, where it says 210?
Yeah. What's that
Okay.
mean?
That's the milligrams that's inside the bottle. So like, for instance, the capsules, when it says 1,000 milligrams, it's not like an Advil. When it says 500 milligrams, it doesn't mean per capsule. 1,000 milligram means for the entire container. So
okay.
the whole container has 210. So if you divided that by 7, it would be 33.3. So
okay, because I'm thinking, okay, so if I order the samples, then they're not getting the 1,000 milligram, So I was confused.
Yeah, so the 1,000 milligram, the only reason it says that is because it's 1,000 milligram supply and there's 30 in there. With the 210, there's 7 in there.
Good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's a common asked question. I can preach it all day long, and it's something that is kind of confusing if you're not around it all the time. My fiance asked me the same question last night. And he, each bottle, even if it says 500 milligrams, it's not going to be 500 milligrams per dropper. That's why I show a lot of people how to do the math on how to get the average dosage. So what I do, say if you're trying to figure out how much one dropper of a 500 milligrams is, what you can do is you can take 500, divide it by 30, and why that is because it's a 30 milliliter bottle. Divide it by that, and it should be 16.666. And so then, if you do that twice a day, you're going to be getting that 33.3 milligrams. So that's
okay. Yeah, I didn't know that either. I thought I was getting 500 mils every time I took it.
No, trust me. I just went into very big details about that with my fiance last night because he was out of his 1,000 milligram tincture and he only does it once. And I'm like, well, just do a 500 milligrams, do 2 droppers. He's like, that it's not the same thing. I'm like, okay, whatever. Um, but that's with each one. So that's why when we say the average dosage is 33 milligrams, 33.3, if you do the 500 milligrams, that would be 2 full droppers a day. And that gets you to that milligram. With the 1,000 milligram dropper, that's 1 time a day. And that's just for like the average person. Some people do tend to take more. For instance, like my Nana and Pappy, they do a capsule at night and a tincture dropper in the morning. And they do 1,000 milligrams. So they have a higher dosage than most. I actually upped my dosage here recently. I do 1,000 milligrams twice a day because I figured out that my metabolism is probably running a lot faster.
So you're young.
Yeah, that's why. It's always worked for me. I just want to up it and see if I notice any change, if I, get a little bit more benefits from it. I just want to see how it works for me. But just like most kids tend to have to take a lot more. But any more severe cases, if there's a lot of inflammation issues, if you're doing it for pain and inflammation, just depending on how chronic it is, usually you do have to take a little bit of a higher dosage, especially around like wintertime with a lot of stuff going on. A lot of more inflammation starts to spike in the wintertime just because it's cold. It makes your pain worse, not pain hurt. But that's why a lot of people tend to up their dosage in that time.
Well, thanks for the explanation, honey.
You're welcome.
Hey, Victoria, it's Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
I'm glad I got my attention jumping on tonight. So thanks for sharing. And, I'm trying to always learn. But just circling back to her comment or question about the capsules.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, my phone's dinging. I think, I've had to, we learned it too early on, and it's easy once you remember that, whatever the bottle says, you got to divide it by the servings. And, right, most of the servings, like the tinctures, 30 servings in a bottle, right, or capsules. But on the website, it does say, and they might want to tweak the verbiage, it says we have 2 strengths. And so that verbiage, where with the capsules in that section of the product where it says we have 2 strengths, or 2 milligrams, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think that may confuse people if they're ordering, but either way, I totally get it. I'm able to tell them it's a 7-day sample, and that's why it's 210, right, versus the 1,000.
I think
few questions I wrote down.
What was that?
Yeah, so a few questions I wrote down. This is one I've never asked. I've always wondered, and nobody's ever asked me about it, but thank gosh. But topicals. When you add topicals on top of taking your daily, 33.3 or whatever that is that adding to your daily dose? Because it is a topical, like relief or recovery. Because they're 2,100, right?
Yes. I don't ever suggest anybody to think, that's a good question, because a lot of people ask if it actually absorbs into your bloodstream.
Right.
When it comes to topicals, usually some people, it can. It just really depends on the person. It depends on the element that they're trying to treat. I don't ever say that you should dose when it comes with a topical. When it comes to topical, because a topical is only supposed to be for immediate relief or your spot pains or anything like that. So it should be used like whenever, say, I start somebody out, I know that their pain is really bad, and I don't want to, just give them the tincture and them have to wait a little bit forever before they start noticing a difference. So I sell a cream with it too, just so they can get that immediate relief. So whenever they're doing it, once the oil starts to kick in, they usually don't have to use the cream as often. They only use it as that extra dose for that bad day. So like, for example, whenever it's raining out and their pain gets worse, or if they have to work out and, they're really sore afterwards, they can use that cream as that relief, that immediate relief. So for people, whenever instead of going to take a Advil, use some cream kind of thing. That's what I always suggest to people. So no, it wouldn't be adding to that dosage, because most people, it can't actually make it to the bloodstream.
Yeah, because I use the Revive, right, daily.
Yeah.
I can coat my face and my neck and decolletage area with it, and take a capsule at night, and use an, take an edible.
You can never take too much.
Yeah. I always tell people you can't OD. If you get too tired, then you probably need to relook at, that. But okay, that was one thing I wanted to bring up, topicals, and then with the CO2 process, there's so many companies. I think that's like their main way, in the space, even if they're good companies using CO2. And I really liked you clarifying that a little bit more. And you mentioned then that's, their defense might be that's fine, but yeah, they add terpenes or more cannabinoids in it. So I imagine that process is a little bit disruptive, but could still maybe have some impact, for the user, right?
It does, and especially like I said, with our process, it's being able to break down into the nano and cryosonic technology. And when you're using that CO2 extraction process, you're not being able to actually get there with breaking it down. That's number one. That's one of the big reasons about our extraction process, why it's better, a thing. But there's a lot of companies that say we use the CO2 extraction process. And then whenever you call them out on that and say, well, I know that you can't take everything out of the plant, so how are you full spectrum? Oh, we add it in there. It's one of those extra, we add it in there. No, I've never seen a company that online it says, oh, and then we add the terpenes, we add the flavonoids. That's
right.
The defense move where they're like, oh no, we just add it in there because if they know what you're talking about, kind of a thing.
Okay. What is the the QR code on the bottles? Has anybody used those? And if so, in what kind of way?
As in this little guy right here?
Yeah, that little guy.
What those are is it pulls up the COA, the certificate of analysis, so all the testing, that's what that's used for. So say when there's a new batch and stuff like that, it pulls up the new COAs just to be able to keep track. So say for if somebody has one and they don't want to go on the website, they can just pull up. There's apps and stuff that on your phone that you can download that will help pull those up. But it's just a newer thing. It's for easier access to be able to just pull up the exact COA for that product.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And then the only other comment I have is in the future, I would love for you to coordinate, maybe do some training on our COAs, maybe with a PowerPoint or, whatnot, or go live on the site and just show us kind of like for our own selves, like how we would read them and you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love it because you actually gave me this idea last week to kind of go through, how to tell the difference in CBD, the different types of CBD.
Yeah.
So I love when people give me, some ideas to talk about. So,
awesome.
I'm around it all day long, so it's something that just like kind of comes natural, and I'm like, wait, what? Common questions like that, I just miss out on.
Thank you. That's all I had. Thanks.
And I can jump in just a little bit and help with some information about, again, the extraction process and the ethanol versus the other methods of extraction, because there are different processes. There is CO2, which is probably the most common. There used to be some others that are kind of archaic, but CO2 is probably the most common, and it's either what they call subcritical or supercritical, as to whether subcritical is like at really cold temperatures for the CO2. Supercritical is when you heat the stuff up. The importance of our extraction process, and this is the part that is really important that people get, is not only the nanotechnological part of it, which breaks down the particles, the molecular particles, into less than 100 nanograms, which is important because your body can't absorb anything larger than that, which is why people take vitamins and then wind up, what's the polite word, evacuating the rest of it. And with regard to ethanol, people don't do it because, listen, our process is more expensive, it's difficult, and getting the alcohol out at the end of the process, as well as removing all the heavy metals that exist in the plant, that's what the extra step of winterization or cryosonics does, using cold and sound waves. And all that stuff is really, really important. So there's a lot of, and this is not about other companies certainly, but just so we understand the difference, there's a lot of people that use marketing words that suggest that oh, we use the top of the line extraction process, supercritical CO2, when in fact it's not the best extraction process out there. We in fact have the best extraction process because of the various steps, the nanotechnology, but then also certainly the winterization, the cryosonic part of it, which gets again all the toxins and heavy metals and alcohol and things like that out of the crude. Again, there's product out there, the crude that's being supplied to companies that has, whether it has the same amount of CBD that they claim it does, isn't the only issue. There's also a whole bunch of other crap left in there, which is just not good for you. Anyway, so I wanted to jump in and share some of that stuff.
Thank you for that, Jeff. Going a little bit more details. I was going through the chat bar while Jeff was giving you a little bit more information when it comes to the CO2 extraction processing. And I saw somebody asked, they've had somebody reach out to them that has Lyme disease and they're struggling with sleep, and what would I recommend? So actually my uncle, he struggles with the same thing. He has Lyme's disease. And there's a lot of different things that you can do about that. So with Lyme's disease, pretty much it's attacking a little bit of everything. It's certainly caused a lot of issue and a lot of pain issues as well. What I would suggest is starting off with a little bit more than the average dosage. But number one, if he wants to see something relief when it comes to sleep, I would suggest taking the capsules. The capsules are extremely concentrated, and a lot of people do them around dinner time before they go to bed, and it helps them get into that relaxation feeling to where whenever they fall asleep, it helps their body get to REM sleep. So one of the biggest things that I've been pointing out to people is that when somebody brings up dreaming, oh, I've been dreaming a lot more lately, like, have you noticed anything like that? That is perfect to where you can jump right in there and say, that's awesome. That's because you're getting to REM sleep, your body's being able to heal, and you're being able to wake up and feel a little bit more refreshed. I would suggest the capsules to start off with, because Lyme's disease is something that's serious, and it causes, like I said, a lot more issues. You have a lot of side effects when it comes to it. You can start off with the capsule at night and a tincture oil in the morning, or even maybe a cream. But like I said, try the capsules. If you want to give them something that may be a little immediate, if you want to share something with them, like a sample or something, you can actually give them some new gummies or even the fudge or chocolate. What a lot of people take 1 or 2 of those before they go to bed, and it helps them feel a little bit more relaxed. So whenever they do fall asleep, they get actually healthy sleep.
And I wanted to jump in. I'm not sure if this was responded to. I think it was Jenny that just asked the question about the high rye whiskey in the tincture. That is actually what they call a binder, and in all kind of ingestibles and food products, there are some binders so that the products don't separate. And because this is so oil based, it just holds everything together. Now, keep in mind 2 things. Number one, that by the time everything is done, there's no alcohol content left. As far as saying to somebody there's alcohol in this, that's the number one thing. And I've forgotten the second. It's a natural product, and that's why we use that as a binder, as opposed to other products that have artificial or synthetic binders.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff, for answering that one for me. And I know Jenny asked one more question. I know somebody replied to you, but just so if anybody can't see it, Jenny asked if they're using the CO2 extraction, are they adding synthetic terpenes or just isolated terpenes? Sometimes it is both. It really just depends on what kind of product it is. Some people could add the synthetics in there, and that's why a lot of people call this the wild west, but a lot of people, it's just isolated terpenes that they just add in there. It's not frequent like that you actually see that people are adding in those terpenes, but there are certain cases where people do. Does anyone have any other questions or want to share about something? Jeff, are you wanting to share anything?
No, I think people are tired of hearing me. I think once a week is enough.
All right. Well, you guys can reach out to me any way that you guys feel like. If you guys need any help, if you guys have questions like Kat Early did about a dosage or what product to start somebody off of, you can always reach out to me. I'll put my number here in the chat bar. And if you guys have any other questions or have a concern, you can call me at any time, or even, text me, leave me a message. That's my personal cell phone number. You can just give me a call, and if you just don't know, how to approach somebody when it comes to these products, just reach out and I'll help you break it down with them. If you want me to get on there with you and we can talk to them together and, break down the issues that they're having. But once again, I just want to thank everybody and taking time to come watch the Zoom. And I hope everyone has a great week. And just please reach out to me if you guys need anything.